You need to be able to identify quadratic functions given in function notation, in graph form, or in a table of values. Let's first look at the equations given in function notation. f of x equals 2x squared plus 2x cubed is not a quadratic equation because x is raised to the highest power of 3, a cubic function. f of x equals negative 2 times x minus 2 plus 2 is a linear function. X is raised to the highest power of 1, not a quadratic function. And f of x equals 2 times x minus 2 all squared plus 2 is a quadratic function because x is raised to the highest power of 2. Now if we look at the graphs, we know that quadratic equations form parabolas. So we have a parabola, so that's a quadratic, and we have another parabola opening down, another quadratic equation. Our last graph is a cubic function forming an S-shaped graph, not a quadratic. And lastly, we have our tables of values. This first table of values has the equation f of x equals 2 times x squared. Negative 2 squared is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. Negative 1 squared is positive 1, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 squared is 1, times 2 is 2, and so on. f of x equals 2 times x squared is a quadratic equation. Our second table of values multiplies every single x value times 2. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, and so on. This is a linear function, not a quadratic equation. And lastly, we have the basic function, f of x equals x squared. Negative 3 squared is 9, negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, and so on. A quadratic equation. And now we're done.